and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this late Saturday night, feel free to leave a comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not subscribed yet, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. I know it's kind of late depending on where you are, but it is late be doing a video if you're on the East Coast or even the Central Time Zone. But I was not able to do one yesterday because of high school football. It was late when I got home last night, and I said, you know what, I'm going to bed. So I do apologize for that, but I didn't want to go 2 straight days without a video. Hey there, Marcus. Glad to have you here, so that's why I'm coming on here. I'm just getting in the door from SWA. Have not been home long at all, so that's why it's so late, but another great show at SWA. But tonight we're going to talk college football, but I'm not going to do the early season preview. I'm not giving, my playoff predictions or my national championship prediction. I'm not giving my conference winning predictions, nothing like that. It's just college football. And the landscape of ESPN really is what the topic is about, because earlier this week, maybe it was Thursday or Wednesday one, I believe, when they announced this new ESPN deal that's starting, but it's not going to start until late 2026 for college football. Now, it's going to start pretty much in January for wrestling, because next year all the wrestling, they used to be called pay-per-views. Now they're called premium live events, or PLEs for short, that have been coming on Peacock are jumping over to ESPN. So basically ESPN is taking over the wrestling world now as well. For now, it's only going to be the pay-per-views or premium live events, but don't be surprised if you see WWE start a third show in the next year or so that's going to be on ESPN. But for now, starting in January, it's only going to be the premium live events. But in the world of college football, it changes a whole lot. What ESPN's trying to do is, hey there, Mateo, I'm glad to have you here, cut out the middleman, because there are a lot of people in the world, and I'm guilty of this as well, that no longer have cable or satellite, because I only know what I see on the comments section, Mateo, and that is Mateo. So as far as I'm concerned, that's your name. But Final Fan, glad to have you here as well. But they're trying to cut out the middleman, because, hey there, Dot, glad to have you here. Most people now don't have cable or satellite because nobody wants the contract televisions, and most people now have streaming services. And I can recall when the streaming stuff first started, I said, I'm not doing it much, because people try to save money. What you don't realize is, if you get a Netflix subscription, and you get a Peacock subscription, and then you get a Paramount subscription, and then you get a Hulu subscription, and you get an HBO subscription, you're paying just as much, if not more, for subscription channels than you are for cable or satellite when you add up all the different subscriptions that you have. So when it first started, I said, I'm not doing it. I might get Peacock, and that's as far as I'm going. That was only because of the wrestling premium live events coming on Peacock. I may get rid of Peacock next year, knowing that wrestling is leaving that. You're right. Thank you, Dot. You have to pay for every subscription to watch the shows you want to watch. Good job for only picking one. Thank you, Dot. Appreciate that. And I may get rid of Peacock now that I know that the wrestling PLEs are leaving Peacock, but I'm the kind of person to where there's certain things that I enjoy watching, but there is nothing that I have to watch. Thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate that. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. Sylvia, greatly appreciate it. And I think it's the first time I've seen your name in the comments section. So if it's your first time being here, thank you for stopping by for whatever reason. I'm glad you're here. But, you know, I like certain things. Like, I love college football. But when we reach the point, which is going to happen, thank you there, Dot, appreciate that. It's going to happen that, down the road, you're basically going to be spending 85, 90 bucks a weekend to watch football if you want to watch all the games. Now, if you want to just watch one or two, fine, but there's going to come a day, probably in the next 8 or 9 years, where a lot of these college football games, especially the big time prime time games, are going to be coming on pay-per-view, and you're going to have to pay extra money to watch them. Those days are coming, and when that happens, I'll stop watching. I love college football, but I'm not spending 65, 70 bucks a week to watch a football game. I'm not doing it. They are high, Marcus. You're correct. And Ardell, you're a volunteer fan, but glad to have you here. But there's a lot of things I enjoy watching, but I'm not going to go in debt and lose money to watch TV. I can do without it. But there's several people out there, that think they can't do without it. So they're going to spend whatever they can to get their fix. It's just like people that smoke, that think they've got to have cigarettes. Cigarettes could be $75 a box, and they still going to buy them because they think they've got to have them. And if you're so hooked and attached on a certain TV show or a certain channel or a certain sport, you're going to pay whatever the price is to watch. I'm not that way, but some people are. Hey there, Face. Glad to have you here. And Ardell, you're right. I'll turn on the radio without a problem at all. But ESPN is trying to get rid of the middleman because they realize that a lot of people now have YouTube TV. And with YouTube TV, it's not like cable or satellite. You get it turned on 1 month, and the next month, get it turned off. Not a big deal. So a lot of people that only watch college football will get YouTube TV turned on late August, early September, and they'll pay it through January, and then they cancel it because they're not going to watch TV the rest of the year. And why are you paying 65, 70 bucks when you're not going to watch any TV? So ESPN is trying to eliminate that and just basically move every big time sport over to ESPN. So you're not going to have to worry about any cable, any satellite, any YouTube TV. You're going to pay for this ESPN subscription plus, and almost every big time sport and event is going to come on ESPN in some way, shape, form, or fashion. So as long as you've got that, you're not going to need any other network, any other channel, just ESPN. That's what they're trying to do, and thank you, Face. I appreciate that. I'm a huge Clemson fan, so I've tried to design my background with Clemson stuff. That way, since it's not a Clemson channel, and I'm not a Clemson homer, that even though I come on here and I may not talk about Clemson, you can see my background and pretty much figure out who I pull for without me having to tell you who I pull for. But what's happening is they're pretty much, for some reason, even though I despise Stephen A. Smith, Scott Van Pelt, I'm okay with. I despise Stephen A. Smith, but for some reason, most people like Stephen A. Smith. So they're going to eventually do away with all the studio shows. Maybe not College Game Day for college basketball and football, but like the Sports Centers, the Baseball Tonight, shows like that, they're going to go away. They realized people no longer watch those shows. And it's funny because I've spent 3 years here on the channel talking about how much I hate ESPN's studio shows. And now other people are jumping on board a little bit late, but nevertheless jumping on board and realizing that I've been right for 3 years and ESPN sucks out loud. So they realized that. So basically what they're going to do now is they're going to cover so much sports stuff that you're going to have Scott Van Pelt every night around midnight or 1 o'clock Eastern time, recapping all the night's events, and then you're going to have Stephen A. Smith the next morning giving his opinion on all the previous night's events, and then from lunchtime on, it's going to be sports stuff. And that way, there's going to be no studio shows because people no longer care about that. And it's not that my taste changed, because my taste is the same as far as, the sports I like to intake. But Sports Center has changed. If you go back to what Sports Center was 25 years ago, when you had the first run of Keith Olbermann, and you had Dan Patrick and Stuart Scott and Charlie Steiner and Bob Lee and John Butchergross, and I could go on and on. Neil Everett and Stan Barrett and Linda Cohn back in the day, and all those people, David Lloyd. Sports Center would come on, and it was an hour of highlights, which is what Sports Center is supposed to be about. But for some reason, the last 10 or 11 years, it's dwarfed into the sports version of Jerry Springer. They'll come on and give you 7 or 8 minutes of highlights, and then they'll go to break and come back on, and they want to tell you what this coach said about this player, and this player said about this team, and what this guy said about this ref. And now all they do is gossip about sports without actually showing you sports highlights. So people have just lost interest because it's not Sports Center now, it's Gossip Center. Hey there, Ima. Glad to have you here in Lola. Glad to have you here in Ardell. I think there are probably several people that are right on board with you that hate giving money to Disney and ESPN, but there's going to become a day where if you don't pay for ESPN, you're not going to be able to watch sports, or at least the big time sports, because with college football, they pretty much have the rights just about to ACC, Big Ten, and the SEC. So unless you're a Big 12 fan, which is really the only big time conference that ESPN doesn't have the rights to, in a couple of years, if you don't have ESPN, you can't watch college football because they're going to carry everything, which leads to my next point. Starting in 2026, ESPN is taking over the rights for NFL Red Zone. Now, nothing's changing. NFL Network and the NFL as a whole still own Red Zone. Scott Hansen is sticking around. The format is staying the same. Nothing is changing except for it's going to come on ESPN. Now, will it be the ESPN channel, or will it be this ESPN subscription plus? Will it be ESPN News, ESPN2? We don't know. All we know is Red Zone is going to be on ESPN starting with the 2026 NFL season. Nothing else changes it. Same studio, same format, same host, just different channel. So I think we're eventually going to get a college football edition of the Red Zone that'll be called College Football Red Zone or something along those lines. And like I said, ESPN doesn't own the rights to the Big 12, but they own the rights to the other 3 power conferences. So you can't do what the NFL does and just have one Red Zone channel, because you have basically 3 different conferences playing at the same time. But now with ESPN, ESPN2, ESPNU, ESPN News, ESPN Classic, and now this ESPN subscription channel, there's going to be several different channel options. You're probably eventually in the next 4 to 5 years, maybe 2030, you're going to see a college football Red Zone channel. Well, there'll be an ACC Red Zone channel, there'll be a Big Ten Red Zone channel, and there'll be an SEC Red Zone channel. And anytime any team in any of those conferences plays and they reach the Red Zone, it'll come on whatever channel you're looking for that particular team or that particular conference. That's probably what's going to happen, because you're getting the rights to NFL Red Zone, so why would you not start your own Red Zone, especially now that you have this subscription channel and you're going to have multiple options. But what ESPN's trying now, they realize that, people are doing away with all the studio shows, so now they're going to try to carry sports all day long, so that if you're a sports fan, you just get this package so you can watch sports and not have to worry about all the studio talking shows. You just want to watch sports. And if they pretty much pick up the rights to all the big tennis tournaments like Wimbledon, and they pick up the rights to all the golf tournaments, all the major ones like the Open Championship or the Masters, and they start carrying NFL Red Zone, and they already carry ACC, Big Ten, and SEC football, and now they're starting to carry NHL hockey all over again, and they have the rights to the NBA. So now, if you like any major sport, all you're gonna need is ESPN. So if you're the kind of person that just wants to watch sports, and you're paying a cable or satellite company 85, $90 a month to watch sports, or if you're paying YouTube TV 65, $70 a month to watch sports, you don't need to. Have it turned off, just get this ESPN package, and there'll be some kind of sporting event on one of their channels all day long, which is fine as long as you only have that. But if you think you still got to have Peacock, and you still got to have Hulu, and you still got to have Netflix, and you still got to have Paramount, you're paying, and you still got to have Amazon. You're paying more for all those subscription services than you are for cable or satellite. So just keep your cable or satellite. But there's been times in the past where I've told my wife, I'm like, look, we stay so busy, we're hardly ever home. When football ends, I'm getting YouTube TV turned off. And then come late August, early September, I'll get it turned back on. But we have Peacock, so if we have free time, there's bukus and bukus and bukus and bukus of things to watch on Peacock. But I'm not paying 65, $70 a month from February through August, and I might watch a total of 2 hours of TV a week. Maybe there are days, several days, matter of fact, where our TV doesn't even come on because the kids are here and they're typical kids, they're loud. So instead of turning it on and you're not even sure what's being said because you can't hear it, why do it? So we'll just sit around the house several days of the week and the TV never comes on. And if it does, it's late at night before bed and it's 25, 30 minutes and that's it. So, there's been times in the past I'm like, you know what? We're losing money. We're getting this thing and we're not even watching it. Hey there, Bodie. Glad to have you here on this Saturday night. So we're seeing a big, huge change with ESPN, and we're going to see how many people are diehard sports fans because there's going to be a lot of people say that they're not going to do this, and then I guarantee you once this thing starts, those same people that saying they're not going to do it, 95% of them are going to do it. Why? Because they feel like they have to have their sports. And if this is the only platform to watch them, they're going to pay for it. Because if you like sports and that's your platform, it's either pay Disney and ESPN or have no sports at all, or you'll have sports, but it won't be the major stuff. Like you'll see Big 12 football on Fox and FS1, and if you have the Big 12 network on there. And then you might see, volleyball on another network or something like that. But the major events in every sport is going to come on ESPN, and almost all their studio shows are going to go away. Now, most people don't consider College Game Day for college football a studio show. College Game Day for college basketball a lot of times is, but most people don't consider College Game Day for college football a studio show because they're not actually physically in studio. Very rarely. They're usually on campus somewhere. But I still consider it a studio show because when the show first started almost 30 years ago, it was a studio show. And not only that, but it's still the same thing as a studio show. You're not physically in a studio, but you're behind a desk with 4 or 5 people and they're talking. It's the same thing as a studio show. And no, Bodie, I am not a Hawkeyes fan. I'm not a Hawkeyes hater, but I'm not a Hawkeyes fan. The only actual team I like is Clemson. Other than that, I guess I really truly don't have a second team. If I had to pick one, I guess it'd be Tennessee, only because I do have some family that live in Tennessee, but also my wife and I, we enjoy taking our kids when we get time and we're available to the Great Smoky Mountains in Tennessee. We try to go there usually once a year, sometimes twice a year. So I guess if I had to pick a second team, it'd be Tennessee just for that reason. But the only team I really like is Clemson But at the same time, Bodie, I'm a huge Clemson fan. If you cut me, I bleed orange, and you can tell by the background that I'm a diehard Clemson fan. But I'm not one of those over the top fans where if Clemson loses, I'm in a bad mood all week long. That's stupid. A game, my team winning or losing does not set my mood. I'm going to be in a good mood whether Clemson wins or loses, but Clemson is the only team that I actively root for, and Clemson is the only team that I actively go out and buy merchandise for. I've never bought any shirts, hats, socks, koozies, cups, flags, stickers, whatever you want to call it, for any team except Clemson. Never. As far as college athletics. Now, I have bought a couple of Braves t-shirts. It's been a long time, but I have. But in the world of college sports, the only team I actually pull for in college is Clemson. That's it. The only team that I actually hate is Georgia. Everybody else I'm neutral on. But at the same time, even though I'm a Clemson fan, I'm not a Clemson homer. So that's why this is not a Clemson channel. I do several videos where Clemson never even gets brought up. I don't come on here and cheer my pom-poms and go Clemson all the time. I don't do that. If I think they're going to get beat, I'll tell you, hey, they're going to get beat. And I also hate Georgia, but I don't come on here and say, man, Georgia sucks. Man, I hate Georgia. If I tell you I think Georgia's going to win, I think they're going to win. I hate them, but I'm not one of those fans that when I like somebody, they're never ever gonna lose, and when I hate somebody, they're never gonna win. I don't do that. Even though I'm a Clemson fan, I'm a realist, always have been. But even when they lose, I don't care. My wife does not like sports at all, Bodie. But there's several times where if I ain't got a wrestling show and I'm at home and I watch Clemson, as soon as the game ends, I'll gather remote control and turn the TV off. And then she'll say, did they win? Because my reaction is the exact same reaction whether they win or lose. I don't jump up and down. I don't scream. I don't throw stuff. I don't cuss. It's a game. I don't believe in that. But Clemson is the only team that I actively root for. Every car I've ever owned in my life has had Clemson stickers on it, and every room in my house has something Clemson on the wall, and our mailbox has a Clemson flag wrapped around it. So I'm a Clemson fan, but I'm not a Clemson homer, and I'm not one of these people that's going to talk Clemson all the time. And if they're going to get beat, I'll tell you, man, I think we're going to get beat. But when they get beat, I don't care. I get up, turn the TV off. Oh, well, try again next week. I'm not letting a football game or baseball game or basketball game define my mood. To me, that's 10-year-old stuff. I have been to Clemson games, Marcus, but it's been a long time. Thank you for asking, but I've been to football games, baseball games, and basketball games, but I don't go anymore, Marcus, because of the fact that I've been a professional wrestling referee for 18 years as of last month, so I'm in a wrestling ring somewhere just about every Saturday, so I don't go to games because it's almost impossible to buy tickets to one game now. You just about have to have season tickets to go, and I'm not going to pay that outrageous price for football season tickets, and I might get to go to one game. I'm not going to do it. And then a lot of times, even if I ain't got a show, or at least I think I ain't got one, 3-4 weeks down the road, come Saturday, if somebody on Facebook messages me, hey man, need a ref, you want to come tonight? I'll go. So even if I had a ticket to the game, if I get a last minute wrestling booking, I'm going to take it over the game because I can record the game and watch it the next day. But there's going to become a time where I'm too old to ref anymore. Hopefully that's 20 years down the road, but it's going to come. When I get down and can't get back up, I can't ref anymore. So I feel like I better do it while I can, because one day I'm not going to be able to. And when that day comes, whether it's 5 years from now or 20 years from now, I don't want to look back and say, man, you remember that booking I had back on such and such day and I turned it down to go to a football game? I don't want to do that. Because when I get too old to ref anymore, I can watch all the football I want to watch. But as of right now, when I'm still physically able to ref, if you give me the option of going to ref or watching that football game, I'm going to ref. Because the only team that I have to watch on Saturdays is Clemson. Any other team can go suck an egg. Now, I watch other games, but if I didn't have the ability to, I'd be okay with it. If I had a wrestling show like next Saturday, I've got a show. It's about a 3-hour drive. I'll be leaving my house probably 7:30 or 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and I won't get home until probably about 2 o'clock Sunday morning slash Saturday night. So I'll be gone not quite 24 hours, but close to it. So if there was college football on next Saturday, I wouldn't see any of it, but I would record the Clemson game and watch it Sunday or Monday or whenever. But Clemson's the only team that I have to watch. So on the days I ain't got a wrestling show and it's college football season, I'll watch whatever game is on if Clemson's not on. But if Clemson's on, that's who I'm watching. But if you give me the choice of sitting on my fat pancake butt all day long and watching football or going to a wrestling show, I'm going to a wrestling show because I can record the Clemson game and watch it later. And in reality, it's better that way because you can fast forward through the commercials, fast forward through the halftime show, and you can watch the whole game in 2 hours and 20 minutes, if that long, depending on how long the actual game lasts. So it's actually better in the long run to watch it later because you can fast forward through all the nonsense. But I used to go to games. The last basketball game was in 2011 when Grace and I got married, and the last baseball game was probably 2018 or 2019. So I still try to go to Clemson once or twice a year. I'll make the drive to Clemson and see if they've got any new shirts I want or new hats or new koozies because I'm always going to constantly buy merchandise. They're going to get my money because I'm a true Clemson fan. But going to the games, Marcus, I probably wouldn't go to a football game now if I was able and I had the time. And I said, you know what? I'm going to take 4 months off. I'm not going to ref in September, October, November, and December. I'm going to make sure if Clemson football is playing, I'm either going to watch it on TV or I'm going to go. I still wouldn't go because the last time I went, I paid $55, and I said, you know what? This is the most I'm paying. I'm not paying more than this to go to a football game. I'm not doing it. But now it's double, if not triple that, to buy a ticket. And even though I'm going alone, so I only have to buy one ticket, the 120, 130 bucks for a ticket don't sound that bad until you factor in that you got to put gas in your car, you got to pay to park, you got to eat. You can't go all day long and not eat or drink anything. So by the time you buy the ticket, God bless you as well, Lucy. Thank you for being here. By the time you buy the ticket for the game and you drive up there and you put gas in your car and you pay to park and you eat and then you get there at the stadium and you buy you a candy bar and you buy you a Coke, you're talking about an easy 200 bucks to watch one game, and then you got to wait 5 minutes and walk 10 minutes to go to the bathroom, and you're going to miss a whole drive just walking there and coming back. No, I can sit on my couch and see everything they see. I ain't got to spend $7 for a Coke. I ain't got to spend $5 for a bag of M&Ms. I ain't got to walk them out of the bathroom. Nope, I'm good. So even if I could go to a game now, I wouldn't go unless somebody gave me either a free ticket or a ticket for $40, maybe. But I'm not paying $100 or more to watch a football game. Then you got to sit like this because there's 90,000 people there, so everybody sits like this. So when you lean back, somebody's knees are right against you. You lean forward, you're breathing on somebody. You turn this way, it's somebody you don't know right beside you. You turn this way, it's somebody you don't know right beside you. And then if you try to stand up and go to the bathroom, you got to say, excuse me, no, it's too much hassle. I'm sorry, I will sit on my butt and watch the game at home. That's what I'll do. Yeah, that's about right, Marcus. I was curious. I haven't looked this year, but I know that I looked last year just out of curiosity, and unless Clemson was playing, you know, some small FBS school or FCS school. If they were playing a big time Power 4 team at home, it's 150 and up. And I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. If I was a millionaire, I wouldn't do it. I know people love the atmosphere and all that, but I'm good. I can sit on my couch and see the same thing you saw for free. I'm not doing it. I don't care if you told me I could go and pay $40 and stand on the sideline with the players. I ain't doing it. I just don't understand people's mindset. I wish I did, but I don't understand the concept of wanting to go out there and sit with all those people who generally you don't know all around you, and you got to sit like this for 4.5, 5 hours, and get up and spend all that time walking to the bathroom, and then if something good happens, you miss it because it's typical that when the ball is snapped, who are you going to watch? You're going to watch the quarterback. He has the ball. So if something happens down the field, you don't see it because you're watching the quarterback. And then there'll be a blatant pass interference down the field, and it's obvious, but you don't see it because you're watching the quarterback. And everybody in the stands up and says, boo, 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 like a bunch of idiots when the call was right. You just didn't see it because you were watching the quarterback who had the football. Then you feel like a dummy because you got 75,000 fans booing, and you're the only one that's not booing because you see the replay and it was the right call. It was pass interference, but nope. You got to boo because it's the home team. That's stupid. I can't do that. I'm sorry. I just don't understand. And I say the same thing, Marcus. They were talking a few months back about WrestleMania, and WrestleMania this past year was in Las Vegas, where it's going to be at again next year. And a guy that I work with actually saved up money to go, and he went to Las Vegas for a whole week. He went to the Monday Night Raw the night after WrestleMania. He went to both nights of WrestleMania. He went to WrestleMania Access, the NXT show that was there. Went to all the autograph signings, all that. Got a motel in Vegas for a whole week now. I forget the price of the whole week's vacation, but just for the 2 nights of WrestleMania was like $2,000, and I'm like, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't care if you tell me I can get front row seats and every wrestler's going to come out and give me their autograph. I'll stay home. I don't like sitting in crowds of people for long periods of time, so I couldn't do it. Unless you gave me a seat where there was going to be nobody around me, I'm not doing it. The last Clemson game I went to, I think it was Wake Forest, if memory serves me correct. I bought a ticket to the game, and where I was sitting at was right in the middle of the row. And at Clemson Stadium, I believe, 20 seats to a row, Marcus, I think. And I was right in the middle. So if I wanted to get up, I had to walk through either 10 people this way or 10 people that way. And I was like, I'm good. So I got up and I walked to the very, 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 very top of the stadium. And I stood the whole game and watched the whole game. But there was nobody around me because everybody else that paid for a ticket sat in their seat. So I was able to lean back, lean forward, lean this way, and not bump anybody and not have anybody bump me. I thought, you know what? This is nice. You can't buy a ticket to stand, but you can buy a ticket and then go and stand. And that's what I did. I went all the way to the top of the stadium and leaned against the top of the stadium and watched the whole game. And it felt so good. It was a good game, D-Kong, and if memory serves, Clemson beat Wake Forest in overtime that day, and that's the last game I've been to. Have not been to one since then. I'll try to go again one day, but it's going to be when ticket prices either drop or I'm able to find one for a cheap price at the last minute. But that was the only downside of Clemson starting to win, because when I was going, for the most part, it was when Tommy Bowden was the coach. Now, I have been to some since Dabo took over, but it's before they become, a consistent top 10 team. Hey there, funny guy. Glad to have you here. But when Tommy Bowden was the coach, it wasn't nothing to buy a ticket for 45, $50 because you weren't winning. And everybody wants to, go watch their team play, but when you're not winning, people don't want to go because most people are not true fans. Most people are bandwagon fans. And if their team is not winning, they're not going to go. But on the downside of it is when you start winning, that's when all of a sudden ticket prices go up because you've got to give all those coaches a raise to make sure they don't leave because they're winning. How do they get a raise? You raise ticket prices. So it's either, pay way too much money to watch a winning team, or it's have your team suck and have tickets cheap because your team sucks. But when Tommy Bowden was the coach, I went to games all the time, but of course I wasn't a referee back then either. But it wasn't nothing then for me to go to 2 or 3 games a year. I was young, I was single, I was off work every Saturday. Wasn't an issue. I'd spend 45, $50, go to the game. And I'm the type of person where I can go all day long and eat one meal. So I'd go get there 6 hours for game time, sit down, watch the game, and would not eat nothing the whole game. And I'd buy one drink at halftime. You're going to college. Well, congratulations, D. Kong, and let me know whenever you go to college where you're going to college at. I love to hear stories of people, and especially if they're playing college football or college baseball or college basketball. So, D. Kong, let me know how things go for you. And if you're on Facebook, message me on Facebook. I would love to chit chat with you. I respond to every message I get on Facebook. I'm not one of these YouTubers, D. Kong, that gets on YouTube and has one persona, and then when I'm not behind this microphone and behind this camera, I'm totally different. I'm the same person all the time. If you ever see me in person, you can walk right up to me and say, "Hey, Brandon," and I promise you, I'll talk with you. If you message me on Facebook, I promise you, I'll respond. What you see right here, this is me all the time. And if you ever get on Facebook, you can message me. I'm easy to find. Just type up Brandon Todd, and I'll more than likely be the first name that comes up on your Facebook account. Message me. Tell me who you are, because if your name is not D. Kong on Facebook, I'm going to be like, well, who is this? But if it's the same name, I know who you are. No, I'm not. I'm only on Facebook for 2 reasons. That's 1, try to help the YouTube channel grow, and for 2, for the wrestling business, because I'm not going to give every Tom, Dick, and Harry my phone number. I don't want 10,000 people having my phone number. So I got Facebook, so if I get a free Saturday, somebody can message me and say, "Hey, you want to come ref here? Hey, you want to come ref here?" And I'm able to go. Without Facebook, I wouldn't be able to. But I started this YouTube channel in 2021 in March. So it's been about 4.5 years now. And I can recall talking to my wife, before I started it, and I said, "Baby, I know I'm late to the game, and there are millions and millions of people that have YouTube, and if I never make it big on YouTube, I'm fine with that, but I want a platform to talk sports because I love sports, and you don't watch sports, so I'm not going to sit around and bore you with stuff that you don't want to talk about. So I want to start YouTube to give me a platform to talk sports, and if I never make a dime off of it, I'm okay with it. It's something I'll do in my free time. It's not going to kill any family time. It's not a big deal. But I've got to get me some kind of social media, because if I've got a YouTube channel and I don't have any social media, how are people going to know I've got a YouTube channel? How am I going to tell them? So I sat down and I was thought, man, there's Facebook, man, there's Instagram, there's MySpace is still around, even though it's small. There's Snapchat, but I've just heard so many bad stories about Instagram and Snapchat. I was like, I'm not doing those. And when I watch TikTok, I feel my IQ dropping as I watch it. So there was no way I was getting TikTok. And Twitter's not happening because only 13% of the population has Twitter. So I feel like there's not enough people on Twitter to get it and make a difference. So I was like, I've got to get some kind of social media to help the channel grow. So I guess I'll get Facebook. So that's when I started my Facebook. It was 2021 when I started this YouTube channel. Dom is not a good place for you because the person always parties. I'm not sure what Dom is, but I hate to hear that, D-Kong. And I'm not a party person. Never have been. It is very popular. You're right. And I do see some videos on TikTok that are funny, but I've never had TikTok in my life. Never had. The only TikTok I see are the people that also have Facebook. So they'll put like a video on TikTok and they'll also share it on Facebook. So I'll see their TikTok video through Facebook. But if I try to get on TikTok, I can't because I've never had a TikTok profile page. So I see the stuff people post on Facebook from TikTok, but I've never been on actual TikTok. But there's so many people that just put stuff on TikTok that's so stupid. And I'm like, man, I feel like my IQ's dropping as I watched this. Like a few years ago, we had the Tide Pod Challenge. That is so stupid. Anybody that tried that is out of their mind. And then I heard this past week, that there was a new TikTok craze that people are putting watermelons on top of their vacuum cleaners because somebody had the bright idea of doing it because watermelons are so heavy that by putting a watermelon on top of your vacuum cleaner, you're going to push the vacuum cleaner in the carpet more and make it pick up more dirt. And I heard that and I was like, oh my gosh. So yeah, there's funny stuff on TikTok, but TikTok is kind of like ESPN. If you go there for the entertainment purposes, it's fantastic. But if you go there and you put any stock on anything anybody says, then you're an idiot because you're believing the nonsense they're telling you. So I kind of look at TikTok on social media the way I watch ESPN. If you go to Paul Feinbaum for a laugh, fantastic. But if you go to Paul Feinbaum and anything he says, you take it serious, then you're an idiot because he's saying stuff to be entertaining. But so many people believe what he says. It's kind of like TikTok. People put the dumbest stuff on TikTok, but you've got people that get on there and they believe that nonsense. So I got Facebook only for the YouTube channel. Otherwise, you've got a YouTube channel and nobody knows about it because you can't promote it because you have no way to promote it. So if it wasn't for the YouTube channel, I probably wouldn't have Facebook, but I got it for wrestling and I got it for the YouTube channel. And that's it because I have no other social media platform to go on. And probably won't get on them. I've heard too many bad stories about Snapchat. I'll never get a Snapchat. But any thoughts on anything I've talked about for almost the last 45 minutes, please feel free to let me know. But let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. A customer was assaulted with a jar of pickles at the grocery store. The police didn't press charges. They said it wasn't a big deal. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by the count of 3. Tell your friends and family how much you love them. Bye.